Dana Holgorsen was big mad about not getting a depth chart from Lincoln Riley, and you know what? I kind of am too. And that's coming up after the bumper.
What do you mean you don't subscribe to my son's YouTube channel?
Mama, no!
Just snap the damn ball, RJ.
What's up, kid folk? It's RJ Young. I am not on a step mill. Consider hitting the like and subscribe button because I upload a video every single day. It's always OU related, college football related, sports related. We have a good time. And today, Dana Holgorsen, big mad that Lincoln Riley decided not to release a depth chart. Look, I know why I want to see the depth chart, and if you've been following any of my reporting, any of Brandon Drumm's reporting over at OUinsider.com, you probably have a really good sense of what the depth chart is going to look like, but it's still nice to see a depth chart, all right? Instead of trolling us with the eye emojis. But you know what? It's Riley's team. It's his program. Let him do what he wants. Fine. However, Holgorsen has never had Lincoln Riley in week one, so he doesn't know that they're probably going to do their depth chart preview show on their own stuff and have us all trying to figure out who's doing what. I get that there's competition going on, just as Dana Holgorsen gets that there's competition going on. And there's a couple guys you just don't know who your starter is going to be, even as you continue to game plan, even as you are a week away from playing your season opener. But he even went so far as to say, you know what, I usually put out a depth chart, but since they ain't putting out a depth chart, I ain't putting out a depth chart. I mean, they probably know who I'm going to play, and we probably know who they're going to play. Is petty at the start, and then he kind of backed off of it. But Dana Holgorsen is a joy because he's telling you what he feels, and he is an air raid coach like you'll read about. Like, I kind of think that Riley and Cliff Kingsbury are the only two guys that are kind of, insulated when it comes to their offensive game plan, when it comes to their programs as it is. I mean, as soon as stuff started going sideways for Cliff Kingsbury, he started to button up real tight, and I don't necessarily disagree with that, but I mean, same thing happened with Mike Leach, and he still hasn't been paid for his money that, he thinks that he's owed from Texas Tech, and they won't release any documents because of the way that he was unceremoniously fired for what amounted to a smear campaign. And he ends up at Washington State, everything's cool, but it hasn't changed how Leach does his job. That's my point here. Mike Leach knows what he's running. You know what he's running. He doesn't care that you know what he's running. He's even asking Twitter to draw up some plays for him to run against Dana Holgorsen when they play Washington State, which is going to be an absolute delight. But what does it mean that Lincoln Riley doesn't want to release his depth chart? One, yeah, cool. You want to release it with somebody else, that's fine. You want to get it later on in the midweek like you said you would, that's fine too. We all love a depth chart. We all love knowing who the guys are, who the dudes that are moving positions. Like Jalen Crawford is now officially listed as a defensive back according to the roster, and that's as close as we get to understanding his move and why his move was made. I'm sure that there's going to be more said about that by Alex Grinch later on in the week. I just wanted to go ahead and just throw that out in front of you because I know that you want to see a depth chart as well. I know it doesn't bug you because some of you do follow the news just as closely as some of us do. And you got an understanding of like Deshaun White's probably going to be starting at will. You know Neville Gallimore's probably going to start at nose. You know Ronnie Perkins is going to come off the edge. You know that Parnell Motley and or Trey Brown are going to start, but Jordan Parker could be out there. You know that Patrick Fields and Delarian Turner-Yell are probably going to be out there. You understand Creed Humphrey's going to be the starting center. You know Jalen Hurts is going to be the starting quarterback. You know that there are 4 to 5 guys that are going to play running back. Trey Sermon and Kennedy Brooks leading the way. You know CeeDee Lamb is going to start at wide receiver. You know that Grant Calcaterra, Lee Morris figure into this offense. You know that Trajan Bridges is probably going to get on the field at some point in time. You know Charleston Rambo is still the guy that not enough people know about. You know what the depth chart is. But like me, you would like to see what Lincoln Riley says the depth chart is instead of, continuing to run with this charade. But we'll find out for sure against Houston. But a depth chart is also a moving, living, breathing thing because as injuries happen, Trey Norwood, you see other parts of move. Jaquaylin Crawford became a defensive back. You'll also see that the depth chart has changed based entirely on the personnel that they're facing the next week. The only things that you can really depend on are the starting quarterback as long as he is healthy and playing well, and your offensive lineman to a degree. Bill Bedenbaugh wants to get the best 5 out there that he quite possibly can put out there, and I understand that. Even if one guy might be more talented than another guy, he's going to try to get the best 5 out there because that's what it's about when it comes to playing offensive line. Also, when you're talking about starting lineups, you're talking about the first group of dudes that's going to go out there. And we really want to talk about the first guy coming out there at his given position, right? Because if you don't want to run a tight end against Houston, that doesn't mean you don't want to run a tight end at all. And, Grant Calcaterra or Lee Morris or Austin Stogner don't get the start. because you wanted to run 4 wide receivers and they're listed as tight ends. It's really that kind of simple, and it's really that kind of overblown, but depth charts are fun. We all like playing with depth charts. We all like thinking about what if that guy started there and that guy started there. We like thinking about who's behind Kenneth Murray Jr., Deshaun White, Levi Draper, Brian Meade, Brian Asamoah, Ryan Jones, Jonathan Perkins. We like knowing that the freshman might be moving up. Like, we're going to make a lot out of a freshman that might be listed as a number 2 at corner or safety or even offensive line. We're still going to do the thing that we do, but it's all in service of wanting to understand the football team, understanding how a football team is run, and what Lincoln Riley thinks are his best 11, what Alec Grinch thinks are his best 11, and then we're going to assess it. Because as he said in his opening press conference, everything is going to be overreacted to following the first game. Well, yeah, that's kind of what we do in college football. Because you only get 12, 13 of these sons to actually assess and put together a resume, because you don't have a real playoff. We're all going to overreact to a score. We're all going to overreact to how you played, because it's as much about winning the game as it is performance, especially if you were Oklahoma and you were preparing to be one of these one or no loss teams at the end that's going to have to match up a resume against somebody else. So yeah, when you come down to it, the depth chart does really matter, but it doesn't matter as much as, playing the games and going out to win the games. All right, that's it for me. Doses.